Today I'll be ranking every episode of The Morgan's Joy Season 1 from worst to best. Number 6, we have Joy Kidnaps Mary. Definitely feel like this is the worst episode of Season 1, and probably will be the worst episode of the whole show. It does not set the tone well for the overall show. The show is pretty dark. This first episode it's very lighthearted, very kids comedy kind of thing. It does not set the tone well. It's kind of boring compared to the other ones. Not a lot of important stuff happens. There's nothing emotional. Nothing not season 1 didn't have much of that anyway though. The action scenes decent. The baseball bat's probably definitely the best part of the episode. It's not the best episode though. There's a lot of it could be a lot. Other episodes are a lot better. Yeah, it's just not that good compared to the other ones. But there are some funny parts, Joy's excuses to get out of, which is trying to flush Mary's head. Oh no, I'm just in the bathroom. That was my phone. Look, I like that part. It's just a silly episode, but there's nothing that good about it. Number 5, I'm gonna have episode 3, Escape. I did have Nightmares here, but I decided to move Nightmares above Escape. Escape's the first episode that really sets the tone for the show, because the first two were a lot more lighthearted. Even though Nightmares are still kind of dark, Nightmares still had a lot of joke scenes in it and stuff. Escape doesn't have any jokes, which I'm not exactly gonna say I like that. I do like it to be it's supposed to be a little bit of a comedy drama, not exactly comedy drama, but it's supposed to have a lot of funny moments, especially considering the original bad show that I made was this is based off of was very much a comedy, which is why the first 2 were comedies, because it was still based on that show a lot more. This episode, it's starting to get a lot darker, but it's just like Joy Kidnaps Mary. These two were also partly at the bottom because both of them are less than 4 minutes long. This does have some better action scenes though. The prison, I really like the prison break scene. The prison break scene is pretty good. The final fight in the room has some bad parts, like Andrew punching her, but overall I like that fight. Especially when he knocks the wreath off while knocking him over, and the prison is a really good setting. Though Miriam's acting in the first scene is terrible. Yeah, overall though it's still it's a okay episode. It's just like Joy Kidnaps Mary. Joy Kidnaps Mary is also okay, but this one is slightly higher on the okay. It's almost that kind of good. Yeah, so overall it's an okay episode. Got some good action scenes, and it sets the tone better, but it's still too short to be any higher. And at number 5, we have Nightmares. Now, Nightmares is the first episode I would call kinda good. It's the longest episode in Season 2 at almost 7 minutes, which still isn't very long. Not in Season 1, because Season 1 episodes are very short. But it's got some cool stuff. This is the first time we see Nearman, even though very briefly. Got the pink grass. It's pretty cool looking. That's not Nearman. Nearman is blue grass. But yeah, you get to see Dream World. Got the cool pink grass and stuff. But there's a lot of better action in this. I mean, not a whole bunch of real fight scenes and stuff. Well, Escape's the first episode where someone actually dies. I forgot to mention that. There was a lot of stuff in this episode that wasn't that good. A lot of more either silly or just kind of boring scenes. Also, this is by far the most confusing episode of the series. A lot of people who watch it do not understand what was going on. But the dream sequences were cool. And I like the twist of the nightmares. The machine was to make the dreams come true, but nightmares. Interesting storyline too, of how the machine backfired on him. You try to make the dreams come true, and they did, but they had nightmares. Though guys, it is a little convenient. They all happen to have a nightmare at the same time, but either way, some cool scenes in it with Minnie attacking Joy, which is also going to play in later to a really good season 2 episode. So decent. It's a kind of good episode. Got some good parts, got some bad parts. But here, now we're on to the top half, the better half of Season 1. So number 3, I have Captured. This is the first one that really sets the tone for at least Season 1. The first one, we see the signature like fighting style of most of the battle scenes in the show. Just Andrew, Vicky, and Nike, and Wendy, and killing a bunch of clones, Alan Jack and stuff. Um, this is on the episode we see clones that aren't of Jewel or Ned, because when Joy makes those clones of Jack, to fight them, and that's a pretty good fight scene. That fight scene really carries the whole episode. It's a pretty good episode. And none of the episodes in season 1 are good, but it's pretty good. The lower half are pretty good, but still pretty good. The first fight scene in the canyon leaves a lot. It's pretty. You can tell it's our first fight scene like that, with the guns and knives and stuff. It's pretty rough, but it's got some good stuff, like 15 shoulder flipping Andrew. This is all episodes of season 1 where 15 is featured the most, and 15 is a cool villain. He's actually featured more than Andrew, because this is a much more bad guy focused episode. Joy is the main character in this episode, just like in Escape, and how it's just unlike Ned being the secondary main character like he was in Escape. This time it's 15. There's some good action, but there's also some bad action. 15's voice is cool. The 34's voice was distracting, though I did like his character because it was interesting. That sets immediately the fact that these clones are individuals and they do have free will, and how Joy is manipulating them, even if they're the bad guys. Technically, they're not really bad. They're just Joy's they think they're the good guys. So we'll set up some interesting character stuff in next episode and a lot of later episodes. Yeah, so a pretty good episode, but not the strongest one in season 1. Number 2, we have Trapped. Trapped is just an episode about getting out of the room and disabling the gloves, and nothing's too special in the storyline. Though I do think it's better than Captured, just because I think it's better made, got some better action, got some better talking scenes. Less action, but it's still just a better made episode. It's still only pretty good. Still slightly on the lower end, a little more toward the middle than Captured, which is very much on the lower end of pretty good. This still got some cheesy, not cheesy moments, but just not that. It was starting to lose a lot of the extreme unprofessionality of the other ones. There's no really any moments in this that make you say that was so bad, like some of the punches or fights and stuff in like Captured and Escape and stuff like that. Or like the shoulder flip, start to get a little bit character development as far as Andrew and Vicky, just in mentioning their pessimism. Though Andrew actually has like good reasons for it, and Vicky just wants to be grumpy, and that's a funny line. Another funny line is the Ned basically roasting Joy, and that's always a moment I find funny when I watch it. And she's like, "Hey, my dad always said Andrew acted like a better kid than I did. From what I've heard and seen, I don't think he's wrong." That part's funny. Just like I just wanted to be grumpy. And then there's the good fight scene, especially when 75 shoulder flips Vicky. That's probably one of the best action moments in the whole show, in the whole season, first season. Definitely not the whole show, but the whole first season. And it does also have the best, not the best episode in season 1. I think it has the best scene, definitely the best written scene in season 1, and that's when 16 is talking to Joy. It's a very well written. I think it's a very good scene. It spans into what I was talking about earlier in Captured about the clone's individuality, and I love seeing the glimpse into how he's questioning her orders, starting to realize that what they're doing is wrong. And then when Joy shocks him, he's still able to run away, which sets up a lot of stuff 16 will do later in season 2 and 4. So I think it's a pretty good episode, but the best episode in season 1, still not that great. It's still only pretty good, slightly on the higher end. The best episode of season 1, I think, is the first war, because it does have a lot of action. And some of the action's actually pretty good. Is some of the gunshots when Vicky shoots some of the clones look pretty realistic. The reaction timing with the gunshot is good, and it looks cool. Andrew kicks a clone right in the face. I don't think Noah liked acting that part, because I put my foot in his face, but it's a cool part. I like when 100 throws Vicky by the neck, and that's just the first scene. The scene with rescuing Franklin, the lighting, it has all the best lighting in the best lighted shot is when Franklin comes from behind those rocks. It's just him coming over a rock. No light right looks cool as it does, but the lighting that looks really cool. I love that shot. Then the short little fight with him and Nine is pretty cool. Nine's voice, I like his little reasoning too about why they need to fight with their bare hands, and if they fought with their guns, like only one of them would make it out. However, if they fought with their bare hands, it's possible either all of them or only one side, could make it out. And then, of course, obviously the highlight, the big battle scene with the nunchucks and stuff. And, of course, Nike dies. Even though I think that 16's talking is the best scene in the show. Nike's death is probably my favorite part of the show. Just because, I always like when main characters die unexpectedly. Because I don't like plot armor. I like subversions of plot armor, so that's why I like to kill my main characters off unexpectedly, and maybe not even with a sacrifice, just because it's more realistic. That just because you're a main character does not mean that you're likely to die a pointless death. The music in the next scene actually does kind of help when Andrew's talking about how he thinks he might be able to fix the gloves, and we got some good stuff in the next scene. The only reason that this episode isn't good, I had it in good for a while, decided to move it down, just because while I do really like the episode, it's 5.5 minutes long, and pretty unprofessional. I can't bring myself to to give it a good. I kind of want to sometimes, but it's too short, and while the fighting's good, it's not anything exceptional. Still the best episode in season 1, though. And for a 5.5 minute episode, maybe a 14-year-old where all the actors are less than 20 and only one of them is over 18. It's good. But yeah, overall I think it's pretty good. And that my ranking of every episode is season 1 of The Wargest Joy.